about the 75% design plans for the Symphony Station Accessibility Improvements Project. Thank you again for taking time to join us. And we'll go to slide 2 and talk about the instructions for this evening. I'm sure many of you have been involved with Zoom before, but just to review how the meeting will go tonight, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to submit a typed question or comment. You can press the raised hand button to share your question or comment verbally and wait for us to recognize and unmute you before you speak. And if you have joined by phone, you may raise your hand by pressing the *9 button. That will be *9. Also want to point out that tonight we have closed captioning available. It's at the bottom of your screen and you can click that and you will see closed captioning throughout the presentation. So welcome again. And we're going to have a safety moment, which is a tradition here at the MBTA. We like to focus on safety at every meeting. And as the pandemic continues, it's really important for all of us to take the right actions to protect ourselves and each other. And that means wearing a mask or face covering, washing your hands, keeping your distance from others, not sharing food, drinks, or utensils, and staying home if you're sick. We encourage everyone to get the vaccine as soon as you can. At the T, we take COVID-19 precautions very seriously. We hope you will stay vigilant and stay safe. This is an outline for tonight's presentation. We're going to talk about the Green Line transformation. You're going to meet the project team. Members will be presenting throughout the evening, and you'll learn about the project. I think there are some terrific graphics. You'll see a lot about the program and be able to ask questions. We'll share the key design elements and considerations for the project, and we'll wrap up with some closing comments. Then once we're through the presentation, we'll ask you to submit comments. Try to submit only one at a time or raise your hand with one question at a time. If there's time during the meeting, we'll go back to additional questions. But if we run out of time, please reach out to us at glt@mbta.com. And we want everyone to know that this information is going to be available after tonight. It's being recorded, and you can find it online at mbta.com/GLT. That's mbta.com/GLT. With that, I have the pleasure of introducing Angel Peña, who's Chief of the Green Line Transformation Program, and he's going to start our presentation tonight. Angel?
Thanks, Nancy. My name is Angel Peña, Chief of the Green Line Transformation Program, and I'm joined today by Tamika Thibodeau, Senior Director, George Brillons, Project Manager, as well as other members of the project team. So thank you to everyone for joining us in this virtual public meeting. And tonight, we're very excited to share with you the 75% design plans for upgrading and modernizing Symphony Station to make it fully accessible. This is a project that has been developed with the System-Wide Accessibility Department at the T as a priority. From our engagement with stakeholders throughout the design process, we know that the neighbors and community members around Symphony Station are eager to see this project coming to fruition. But before we get started with the project design that we're about to present to you, I would like to take a few minutes to highlight how the Symphony Station Accessibility Improvements Project advances the goals of the Green Line transformation. Safety and state of good repair, accessibility, legacy car replacement, and increased capacity are the 4 key elements of the holistic objectives of this program, or as we call them, levels of transformation. The Symphony Station Accessibility Improvements Project that we are discussing tonight will not only improve accessibility and safety for all riders, but will also improve the overall quality of service for the Green Line. So you may be asking what we have done so far for each of one of those levels that I'm describing right now. It's really important to know, though, that the levels advance concurrently and are interrelated. Let me give you an example. Much of the state of good repair and accessibility work that we're advancing now will lay the foundation for a unified fleet of vehicles and increased capacity for the future. So let's talk briefly about level 0, which is critical to safety and reliability for riders today and the years to come. In 2019 and into 2020, despite the impacts of the pandemic, we worked closely with our municipal partners and colleagues across the Mbta to deliver important safety and reliability upgrades on all Green Line branches. It was something very exciting that we were able to accomplish. In 2020, we also took additional measures to complete the work while supporting local businesses and essential workers who relied on public transit. Let me give you an example. E-Branch, we completed more than a year's worth of work in just 28 days last summer, using a full access closure to replace 9,500 feet of track and upgrade 7 intersections. So at GLT, we understand the importance of working with the communities that we're serving while we make important improvements for the Green Line. But we always seek to minimize impacts of construction. And this is something that we'll do continuously in 2021. We will look for opportunities to accelerate our work to minimize the duration of construction and inconvenience. Once complete, track improvements mean a smoother ride and improved travel times because we can eliminate slow zones when the new track is in place. And the upgraded crossings improve safety for riders coming to and from stations and for drivers and cyclists who cross the surface tracks of the Green Line. So now let's take a look at level 1, where the focus is going to be on accessible station. And this is why you're here today. To an extent, level 0 projects do improve access at Green Line stations. But at level 1, however, we're advancing projects like Symphony Station to redesign stations that are not currently accessible. A central goal of the Green Line Transformation Program is to make the Green Line fully accessible for safer, consistent, and easier to use transit service for all riders. With the Symphony Station Accessibility Improvements Project, we will achieve the goal of accessibility at one of the busiest Green Line stations. And again, we're very excited to share the details for this project. So let's get started. Tamika, could you introduce the project before George take us through design elements?
Absolutely. Thanks, Angel. So to start off, I would like to highlight for you the various subject matters experts who comprise the design team. These team of professionals work on the design, engineering, coordination, public outreach, compliance, permitting to advance the project throughout the design process. So let's talk about how the background of this project and scope. The project was originally developed by System-Wide Accessibility at the Mbta with outreach to the public in 2017 during the 20% design. Since then, the project has continued engagement with stakeholders to reach the 30% design and the 75% design milestones. The new stations design includes accessibility for code improvements, installation of 4 new elevators from street level to platforms, construction of new emergency stairs, replacement and improving existing stairs, construction of new accessible restrooms, raising the platform to 8 to align with the existing trains of the local floors, creating areas of refuge and rescue areas, upgrading fire alarms, life safety systems, other safety improvements, and resilience measures. The outreach engagement during the design process has included community groups, resident groups, advocacy groups, partners. We work closely with key stakeholders such as Boston Symphony Orchestra, Northeastern University, Symphony Towers. We have met with Mbta riders, transportation access groups, the City of Boston Disability Commission, and developed design to close collaboration with System-Wide Accessibility at the Mbta. The project has been well received and the community is eager to have a full accessible Symphony Station. GLT is committed to continue engagement throughout the final design phase and lead with the construction for the duration of the project. With that, George, could you please share the details of the design and demonstrate how the transformation of this project will be to the riders and neighbors of Symphony Station?
Thank you, Tamika. Good evening, everyone. My name is George Briones, and I'm the GLT Senior Project Manager for Symphony Station. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to meet with us and for allowing us to present the Symphony Station design. As this slide indicates, here are the street level views of the head houses at Symphony Hall, Horticultural Hall, and both Symphony Towers. Along Mass Ave, adjacent to Symphony Hall and Horticultural Hall, this plan shows the location of the existing 4 stairway entrances. On the south side of Huntington Ave, we have 2 stairway entrances. All these entrances make the platforms and station below grade completely inaccessible for anybody with mobility impairments. The plan of the platform levels shows the only means of access or egress to and from the station lobby is the stairs. This reinforces how non-compliant the station is and also highlights other issues like non-level boarding, lack of functioning public restrooms, or no restroom as on the inbound side, and inadequate emergency lighting. As a result of bringing the station into full compliance with code and accessibility requirements, we are proposing the following upgrades to the station: renovated stairs and 2 new 2-stop elevators at Symphony Hall and Horticultural Hall. We also have a new emergency egress stairway on the south side of Horticultural Hall, parallel to Huntington Ave. On the south side of Huntington Ave, we show the emergency egress stairway for the inbound platform, as well as renovated lower plaza ramps, 2 new 3-stop elevators, and new stairs. These surface improvements bring the station into full compliance with code and accessibility requirements. Here's a view of the design for the stair and elevator head houses adjacent to Symphony Hall. Here's a view of the head houses on the Horticultural Hall side of Mass Ave, the stair and the elevator head houses, as well as the emergency egress stair head house. The design of the new outbound platform lobby and elevated platform shows how we incorporate the new elevators and emergency egress stairway, plus new amenities into the design. Amenities like the 2 new areas of refuge, a new accessible station attendant room, an accessible restroom, customer assistance area, and an elevated platform for level boarding. Here's what we're envisioning for the outbound lobby. This particular view is from the platform looking towards the station lobby and the stairs and elevator on the Symphony Hall side of the station. This view is from the lobby looking toward the area of refuge and the elevator, plus stairs on the horticultural side of the station. On the inbound side, looking in the direction of the Midtown Hotel, this view shows a 3-stop elevator and stairs at street level. The elevators on the inbound side are all 3-stop elevators and make stops at the Towers Plaza level, street level, and of course, the lobby level of the station below. Across Mass Ave, going towards Huntington Theater, is another 3-stop elevator and stairs to the inbound platform and station below. This elevator also stops at the Towers Plaza level, street level, and of course, the lobby level of the station below. Very similar to the outbound platform, the inbound platform also has an emergency egress stairway with an area of refuge, new 3-stop elevator, a new accessible restroom, a second area of refuge adjacent to another 3-stop elevator on the Symphony Towers east side, a new accessible station attendant room, customer service assistance area, and an elevated platform. Coming down the stairs from Huntington Theater or Symphony Towers, you're looking toward the fare machines and platform entry gates. This view is further into the lobby just past the fare gates, looking toward the area of Refuge and the elevator, which would lead you up to the Symphony Towers or in the direction of the Midtown Hotel. Turning around from the previous view, you will see the elevator and stairs, which would lead you back up to Huntington Theater or Symphony Towers West. To summarize, this design, in order to bring the station into full compliance with code and accessibility requirements, now has 2 emergency egress stairs, 4 new elevators, 2 new accessible restrooms, 4 areas of refuge, raised platforms for level boarding, 2 new accessible attendant rooms, and customer assistance areas on each platform, which accommodate tactile bars, signage, wheelchair space, and emergency call box, plus other amenities which help modernize the station. And now with that, I'll turn the presentation back over to Tamika.
Thank you, George. The Symphony Station project design is anticipated to be completed in June of this year. The construction contract will then be awarded in late summer, and construction should start between fall or winter of 2021. Following the 13-month station closure, during construction, the project is expected to be completed this summer of 2023. For the duration of construction, trains will continue to run through the station, but the station will be closed to the customers wishing to board and disembark. We also anticipate some weekend closures for train service duration, which time alternative service will be provided and the plans will be under development. Do you know why the station will be reduced the overall duration of construction for 20 months? Our next step will take us from 75% to 100% design over the next 4 months. They include the constructability review, which we had beginning of February. We're going to continue working with utility coordination, public outreach, working with the City of Boston, public review meetings, Mbta coordination, risk analysis, design team, coordination details, final design phases, engineer estimates, and contract time duration. Before we wrap up this presentation, Angel would like to speak to you about the ongoing upcoming public outreach for Symphony Station.
Yes, Tamika, thank you. Public engagement and transparency are very important to GLT. We are proactive in sharing information on our projects with weekly updates to email subscribers, frequent updates to our webpage, and ongoing communications with stakeholders in the community. As mentioned, tonight's presentation is being recorded and it will be posted online as well. So we will continue to hold stakeholder briefings and public meetings as we finalize the design and prepare to begin construction. The best way to stay informed is to subscribe to our email list and sign up for T-alerts. And you can always follow up with questions via email to the project team at glt@mbta.com at any time. With that, we hope that presentation has been informative. We now would like to take the time to hear from you what your thoughts, any questions, any comments that you might have and you want to share with us. So thank you for your time this evening, and we welcome your questions and comments. Nancy, if you can take us through how the Q&A will work, that will be great.
Thanks, Angel. Just a reminder, there are 3 ways that you can participate. You can use the Q&A button. I see that we have a few questions there already. That's great. You can press the raise hand button also at the bottom of the screen to share your question or comment verbally. Wait for us to recognize and unmute you before speaking. And if you've joined by phone, you can press *9 on your phone, and it will show up as a raised hand here as you participate. Now, typically, we usually ask if there are any elected officials who are here this evening who would like to speak first. If there are, you could raise your hand and we could take a look and see if there are any elected officials.
Nancy, it looks like David.
David, yes, I see David Vieira, Representative Vieira.
David,
and-
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
That was a really excellent presentation. I attend many of the meetings of the Disability Board and the RTAG group, and have brought up over the last 2 or 3 years the issue of elevators and visibility inside the elevators. Please design these elevators with backlit panels so that people can see them, because sometimes it's very hard to discern where the panel is. I'm legally blind. And also the pinhole buttons really don't work as well as a nice bright button. So please consider those upgrades for these elevators. Thank you.
Thanks very much for sharing that information with us. We appreciate it. Are there any other elected officials who you could raise your hand now? Well, we will go off to the Q&A. I don't see anyone else, but we will check again. Dan Kraft asks, he's heard that the new stations will have elevators, but no stairways. Is that true? And I don't think that's true. George, can you answer that question for us?
Yes, absolutely. We do have elevators to make it completely accessible for anybody that has any mobility impairments, but we also do have stairs.
Great. Mr. Kraft also asked, what is the refuge area for? Great question. George?
So the refuge area, also known as the rescue area, is for anybody that has any particular issues being in getting out of the station because of an emergency.
Okay.
They are able to actually enter this area of refuge, area rescue. And if there's a fire and smoke, this particular room has absolutely its own ventilation system. So it's not impacted by any smoke or anything that's going on outside of the area of refuge. And the area of refuges are actually at the bottom of the stairs and at the bottom of the elevators, so that when first responders make their presence known at the stations, they will be one of the first ones to be evacuated.
And I just also like to add to this, to what George said, was that since this station does not have a ramp for anyone using a mobility aided device to exit the station and the elevator will be shut off, this is a safe place for them to go until they can get assistance out of the station. So that's why certain stations will have an area rescues or refuge and other stations do not.
Oh, thank you, Tamika. John McLaughlin has said, the inbound head houses seem very large. How will they impact the lower level businesses at those corners? George, is that a question that you can address?
Yes, it is. In actuality, the elevator area is actually less than the existing stairway that we have existing. So the footprint is smaller. And
It may just be that the graphics make it look larger. George, is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually have about 8 feet of space between the existing buildings that are there. Symphony Hall and also Horticultural Hall. About 8 foot of clearance between building and the actual elevator head house or the stairway head house.
All right, great. Thank you, George. Mr. McLaughlin also asked, why do the emergency exits have head houses rather than just flat bulkheads similar to Copley Station?
So when we were in the process of designing the head houses, we wanted to make sure that they all look the same. And it was through a coordinated effort with our design department, the design team for this particular project, and also stakeholders that are impacted by the location of the head houses. Various designs were presented, and it was decided among the stakeholders and among the team that we would go with the current design that we are actually exemplifying in this presentation.
All right, thank you, George. I just noticed that Matt Moran from the city of Boston is on. Matt, are you listening, or would you like to make some comments or ask a question? You can raise your hand in that case, Matt. Yes, he does. Matt, looks like your mic is open. Go ahead.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Nancy. My name is Matt Moran. I work for the Boston Transportation Department. I lead a team there called the Transit Team. We, of course, collaborate closely with Green Line Transformation and sort of help to coordinate the process internal to the city with our Disabilities Commission, Public Works Department, and other city agencies like the Boston Planning and Development Agency. So just thanks for the partnership, and we're obviously very excited for the project to move forward for the accessibility benefits and station modernization benefits.
Great, Matt. Thanks for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. I'm going to go to Allison Poltinas, who has her hand up. And there you are, Allison. You should be
Okay,
able to
thank you
speak.
so much. Going back to the question about the height of the head houses, I'm looking at the images by Symphony Towers. Do you have the exact height of those two head houses?
George, do you have that in your head, or is that a question we can ask Allison to
They
email
do
us?
look quite tall. That's
Yeah, I think that Judd might be able to help us out with in terms of the
Okay.
height of the head house, especially in I believe Allison's referring to the height of the head houses over on the Symphony
Right.
Tower side.
Judd,
Okay.
can you jump in? Judd Galloway is the consultant.
Yes, they are those towers. They are 3-stop elevators, and I don't know the height off the top of my head, but they are 2-story. So it is a 2-story elevator there from grade to the plaza level and above. So they will be higher than what is there currently to provide that third stop to the Symphony Towers.
right.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the Q&A at the moment. So Peter Kamaru said, so whenever the station is closed, will Route 39 service frequency be increased? Tamika, is that a question for you?
Sure, Nancy, I'll answer that question. So we will either have enhanced 39 buses, or we will have additional private shuttle bus service to go through that area. So we'll make sure we're accommodating all the customers that need to get from Symphony into Boston or to the VA hospital.
All right, great. Thank you. Abby Swain has a question. The FMCB has alluded to the chance that the MBTA will need to suspend some capital projects due to budget shortfalls. Is Symphony at all imperiled in terms of timing or ambition? And George, or perhaps Angel?
Yeah, I can take that one.
Okay.
Thanks for that. Yeah, as you've seen, we have been going through several presentations to keep everybody informed that we're going through prioritization. I can tell you right now that Symphony stays to be at the course as one of the priorities, and this is why we're here today with you. And we'll continue to advance this project and keep you abreast. If for any circumstances this will change, you have my word that we'll reach out directly and make sure that you're aware of any changes. But as of today, it continues to be part of our capital program. It continues to be a priority for the MBTA, and the GLT is committed to continue to advance this so you can see the improvements soon.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Sandel. That's good news. Jesus Marrero Suarez, what methods of accessibility are going to be available to people who have audible impairments? And George, is that for you? Or perhaps Judd?
I can take that.
Okay, thank you.
So along with the modernization of the station, we do intend on updating the communication system in the station. We're talking about not just cameras, but we're also talking about speakers. and as well as our visual signage that we will have at the station, both platforms.
Great, thank you, George. Marie Fukuda, thanks so much for this presentation. I'm a little surprised at the look of the head houses at Horticultural Hall, which seem blocky and imposing. Can you let me know if they've already received design approvals, and is there any requirement or ability to make them align better with the historic nature of the two buildings? George, thank you. I see you're ready.
So as part of our outreach with our stakeholders, we've actually had meetings with officials from Boston Symphony Orchestra, Northeastern University, who actually occupy Horticultural Hall now, as well as the Christian Science Monitor. We've discussed it with them, and they've actually taken a look at the different designs that we come up with, and this is the design that they've actually agreed upon. And so as a result of this agreement, this is the design that we've carried forward.
Thank you, George. Abby Swain is asking, the inbound entrance plazas depressed below the street level tend to collect snow and historically have been shoveled belatedly and imperfectly. How will the MBTA ensure that snow is not a barrier to accessibility? George, yes, thank you.
So this is something that is going to be in coordination, not just with our operations department, but also with the city of Boston. There is some property there that does not belong to the MBTA, and that's a coordination effort that's going to be on all parties involved.
So I also just want to add to that, Nancy, that the MBTA will ensure that all accessible paths, doorways are cleared up. With this new design, you won't get that snow going down the stairwell like we had in the past. So what this is a better design, but with the MBTA, along with our partners with the city of Boston, but we will ensure that all accessible paths, doorways, and elevated entrances are clear, so you can get in and out the station.
Thank you. We have a question. I'm from the Mass Commission for the Blind. Will the stairs be marked for high contrast?
Yes, they will be.
All right, great, thank you. Dan Kraft asks, will there be a way to cross over from the inbound to outbound platforms like at Arlington Street?
So,
George, thank you. Oh, Tamika, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tamika.
So unfortunately, the design that is in place is not going to have that inbound, outbound mezzanine that you have at Arlington Station. The design that we have now is what's been approved, and we're going to be utilizing that. We worked with system-wide accessibility and with all stakeholders. If you're concerned that if you go onto the wrong side, will you be able to get over? We'll have our customer service agents and our employees that will gladly assist anyone that needs any help in this area.
Great, thank you, Tamika.
Yeah.
And Abby Swain says, Angel, thank you. The postponement of this meeting had me worried. This is such an important project. Abby, I will tell you, there was a conflict with a major MBTA meeting earlier, which is why we moved the meeting. But thank you. Glad you're here and able to participate. The lobbies look much larger in size. Will street construction / closures be needed as part of Symphony reconstruction?
The short answer to that is no. No, we are coordinating with the traffic management plan, and we're going to make sure that we have accessibility around the construction zone with traffic, so that there is as minimal impact as possible.
Thank you, George. Will the degraded brick courtyards on the Symphony Tower sides also be renovated?
So I think currently there is brick in the lower plaza levels of the Symphony Tower plazas, and those will be updated so that we have concrete as opposed to bricks.
Oh, great, thank you. And then following up, will the ownership of the plazas change? I understand the BPDA owns them.
So what was that question again?
Will the ownership of the plazas change? I understand the BPDA owns them.
There will not be any change in ownership.
Okay, so they remain in BPDA hands then.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then Allison has another question. Because Horticultural Hall and Symphony Hall are pending city landmarks, the BLC staff needs to review the head houses, I think. Well, George, what do you think?
So we have been in coordination with all the city departments, historical commission. We just received our environmental impact letter, section 106, which talks about the historical impact of the buildings. And we just recently got to go ahead. We're not impacting the historical portion of the buildings whatsoever, and there's no impact that the station will have on the buildings.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, George. I don't have any more questions in the Q&A or hands raised. So if you have, there's something on your mind. Oh, I'm sorry. Abby Swain, Tamika and George, that was a useful and reassuring answer regarding snow. I think that one reason more wheelchair users shy away from using the fixed route system is that so many stops and stations become inaccessible in the winter. If they were accessible year-round, the MBTA might succeed in shifting more users from the ride to the traditional system. So thank you, Abby. Thanks for that comment. And we will definitely keep them in mind, that information in mind. And let me check and see. I don't have any other hands raised. Let me remind you, this presentation will be posted on the project website. And also the recording will be there. Sometimes it takes an extra 24 hours to make sure everything shows up, but we encourage you to take a look. If you have any more questions about what you've heard and seen tonight, you can reach us at glt@mbta.com, and we do our best to answer promptly. And if we don't have an answer, we'll find one for you. And let's see. I don't know if there are any other elected officials who've joined us. If so, you should raise your hand. But at the, let's see. No, Allison, you have one more question or comment?
Yes, hi. Will the all the chat questions be part of the recording?
Those are part of the summary of the meeting. So they're included by reference in the summary.
Okay, and the summary is,
that will also be posted on the website.
Okay.
Give us a few days. We have to write it and make sure it's accurate, but it will be posted on the
okay,
website.
thank you. And I'm
You're welcome.
recording, I'm writing this up for the Fenway News, so I'm wondering if I can use one of the images for our April issue. So I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the information. We appreciate it. And I don't see any other questions. I'll wait a second or two. But it looks like, oh, let's see. Okay. We got a compliment team. Just wanted to say well done. I learned a good deal. John Glennon from the MBTA and John McLaughlin says thanks for a great presentation. So that seems like a good place to say goodnight. And please don't hesitate to send questions to us at glt@mbta.com. I know there are always things that occur to you after the meeting, so take a look at the presentation and let us know if you have any other thoughts. We really appreciate your questions, your participation. We look forward to keeping you posted about the project. So on behalf of the team, I'm going to say thank you and wish you a very good night.